Welcome to day 17 as we chug along through 25 days of Christmas horrors. I'm Mike from Real Lounge Entertainment, and today we have the 2023 movie There's Something in the Barn. This movie is rated R, has a runtime of 1 hour 40 minutes, and a Rotten Tomato score of 80%. Now, this is newer, so only slight spoilers. Now sit back and let's get into There's Something in the Barn. So then we start off with a very engaging opening scene where a man is trying to tear down his barn and burn it down. And we hear him say, "This ends tonight." But he fails and he gets burned to death. Then we meet the protagonist of this movie, an American family who now lives in Norway and inherit a house from a relative. Wink wink. It's the same house from the beginning of the movie, and they want to turn it into a bed and breakfast. I just don't see it. That barn is a barn. Well then, Lucas, the son of the family, he sees something moving around the barn, and he sees red eyes.
You guys! There's something in the barn.
Oh, he said the title! So then we meet the police officer, and she doesn't seem to take anything too serious at all. And a whole bunch of town folk who don't react to anything until they're given alcohol later, and then they're like best friends. The only useful person in this town is this guy who runs a museum about elves. Oh god, no. Please, not those elves. He also tells Lucas about the 3 rules for elves. Number 1, they hate changes. Number 2, they hate bright lights. Number 3, they hate loud noises. Wait, one darn second. 3 rules? One of them being bright lights? Haven't we seen this movie already on this list? Is this movie about elves or gremlins? Well, Lucas sees one of the elves, and he actually feeds them a cookie. And the next morning when they wake up, somebody shoveled all the snow from the driveway. That's pretty cool, actually. I would definitely take that deal. Well, let's face it. Americans can't listen to rules, and the dad eats the porridge that Lucas made as the offering towards the elf. And guess what? The elf is pissed! I mean, I would be too. Have you ever made some food and you couldn't wait to eat it later, and then you open the fridge and somebody ate it? Seriously, guys, who ate my porridge? So now the mad elf calls for all of his elf friends, and they start terrorizing the family and anybody who's around them. So there are a couple standout scenes I would like to talk about. The first one is, there's a scene where a character is about to die, but they just stand there and watch it happen, like don't react at all. This made me think of the Austin Powers scene.
Careful, Austin.
Then there's a scene where the elves get hit by a really bright light, and they let out this really loud scream. I did that. Then we get a really bad CGI scene of them sliding down a hill and fighting with the elves.
Oh, no. We didn't lose them.
Then after fighting all these creepy elves and seeing people die, the dad says something along the lines of, well, at least it's not the worst Christmas we've ever had. Wait, what? What other things have you experienced on Christmas that makes this not the worst one you've ever had? Seriously, tell me. So if this isn't the worst for him, tell me in the comments, what was the worst thing that happened to you on Christmas? But for the positives of this movie is, it's pretty well made. It has a story that moves along fine, and has characters that are mostly entertaining and actually likable. And the elves are pretty well designed, and they feel like real folklore from the area. Now for some of the negatives in this movie. They showed the elves a little too much, and they lit them too well. If you want to make it a little bit creepier, show them a little less and keep them in the dark a little bit more, and I think it would have been more successful for a scary movie. Another issue I had is there's a little bit too much comedy in this movie. Keep some of it in there, but I would have taken it down just a tad and make it a little bit more serious than what we got. And then the other issue I have for the story is, how come none of the other townspeople seem to know about these elves except for the guy who works at the museum? I mean, they all have barns, and there's so many elves at the end when the one angry elf calls them. How do none of them know about it and the Americans get to experience them in like the first week they're there? That doesn't really make any sense. So overall, this movie's pretty good. I give it a 3.5 out of 5, which is a pretty strong score. Thanks for watching. Join us tomorrow if you ever want to see Gary Busey play a gingerbread man.